want to start off this video by saying your postpartum journey does not have to be sad. It does not have to be hard. It does not have to be difficult. And everyone's experience is going to be different, and hormones play a really big role in that. So like, I might be okay right now 2 months postpartum, but check back in 6 months might be a different story. But I truly feel like I'm thriving. I'm the happiest I have been in a very long time. And I do think there are certain things I've done that have contributed to having such an amazing postpartum experience that I want to share for you. And don't get me wrong, there are plenty of those videos out there that share how difficult postpartum is for some women. And if you need that relatability, go watch those videos. But I do think it needs to be shared that that's not everyone's experience, and it doesn't have to be this scary thing. Okay, so I'm going to share some tips of what I have done that I feel like has contributed. The first one, I think, I wouldn't say this is a tip, but I really psyched myself out for how postpartum was going to be. I thought it was going to be, you know, the unknown is scary. So I didn't really know what to expect in terms of how it was going to affect my relationship, my life, like stepping into this new role. So I had made it out to be this like big scary thing where once I was actually in postpartumhood, it wasn't. So I do think that kind of was in my favor. Another thing is everyone's pregnancy experience is different. And I will say mine was pretty mild in comparison to some people. But I didn't realize just how unhappy I was pregnant. Like I knew I wasn't, you know, feeling my best. But now that I'm out on the other side, I'm like, wow, I was actually very, very unhappy. Like I almost feel manic right now compared to how I was during pregnancy because of the physical limitations, mobility, not sleeping. I sleep more now with a newborn than I did when I was pregnant because of all the things. Check out my videos if you don't know what I'm talking about. But so that is my first tip, is it might not be as bad as you think it is, but let's get into like the real tips now. So the first thing is to do something for yourself every single day. So in those first few weeks where maybe, you know, I wasn't getting around as much because I'm recovering, I made it a point to always do my hair and makeup every single day. And it wasn't like extensive. It maybe took 5-10 minutes tops, but it was something I did for me that just gave me a sense of identity back, right? And as I started recovering, that then turned into not doing hair and makeup so much, but really focusing on exercising each day or getting out and moving my body. Whatever it is, maybe you just need to like go sit outside for 5 minutes and listen to a podcast. Whatever it is, find your thing, and that thing can change, you know, over time, just like mine did. But to really make sure you're giving yourself some space to be you outside of, you know, raising this little human. The next tip I have is to go touch some grass, okay? Because late night thoughts, indoor thoughts, those are thoughts we don't want to trust, okay? They're typically not the most positive, and anytime, especially when you're in the trenches in survival mode in those first 2 weeks, those late night thoughts, you know, they can be really hard. They might be anxious thoughts, they might be negative thoughts. I know for me personally, it was like me wanting to give up on my breastfeeding journey, but like breastfeeding or not, I was still gonna have to wake up every 2 hours to feed her one way or another. So like it didn't make sense, but in that moment, you know, I was like, oh, this is so hard. So to not trust those thoughts and go outside and go touch grass, okay? Because there's something about hitting the reset button that nature does for us where it kind of just humbles us. It brings us back down to earth and really puts us in a more positive headspace, especially if you have the sun, you know, in your favor. It's not like rainy season where you're at or winter. I will say I do think that's a big contributor, is that I had this baby during spring. It was at the end of April. So right now it's summer. So I've got, you know, it's hot, it's nice outside, you know, everything's green. I've got that in my favor. It's also not cold and flu season, which brings me into my next point of getting out and about. Okay, go see the people out there. Go do some things. And my little person's crying right now, so hold on. Being a new mom, and especially in the newborn stage, it can be a very isolating experience. And if you're breastfeeding, that can add a whole nother, you know, factor. But my tip would be it doesn't have to be. You know, you can go out and about. And I know a factor to consider is babies typically don't get vaccinated until that 2-month mark. So I know some people will want to wait until then, but you've got to realize 2 months is a very long time to just be like in your little bubble in your house. So my advice and what I did and what I think really helped me mentally was being around people, because being with the baby all day, every day really does, it doesn't get old in the sense like I'm enjoying this time with her, but going from having interactions with adults to now it's just you and this baby potato that can't talk back, it's a difficult transition in that sense. And so go out and about, go visit with people. And what I will say is you don't have to let people hold the baby or touch the baby. So you're not spreading those germs by just going out and getting out of the house. Obviously you can avoid crowded places and things like that, but I just want to like give you permission, if that's what you need, to go out and live your life and integrate baby in your life and continue doing what you're doing. We would have friends over for game night and it was chill because it was at our house where I could put baby down in the crib, and me and my husband can still have that piece of community and friendship and just things feeling a little bit more normal, and the sense of it being similar to how it was prior to baby, that, you know, life with baby doesn't have to look that different. My next tip is probably the most important, and it is to trust your partner and allow them space and room to grow and develop into the role that they need to be to help care for your baby. So by that I mean, I feel like, you know, the moms tend to be the default parent in the sense of caring, which, you know, if you're breastfeeding, like duh, like only one of y'all got boobs. It took 2 people to make the baby. It needs to be 2 people caring for the baby. And the last thing you want to do is wake up someday and be resentful towards your partner because maybe it feels like you're the one that's doing all the work, even though you may have unintentionally created that situation if you do not allow space for them to care for the baby. So finding different things they can do. I know at least in my marriage, my husband does the majority of the diaper changes, even the overnight ones. And that really makes me feel like he has a role in this because I am the only one that can feed her right now. And obviously, if you are pumping, then both people can provide the bottle to the baby. If you're formula feeding, that's another way to split the duties. But I do think as a woman, you typically have a longer maternity leave than a paternity leave, if they even get one. And you are truly the expert of your baby, and sometimes it can be easier for us to just do things ourselves when it comes to caring for the baby because we're maybe faster, more efficient at it, or we just simply know what to do because we're with the baby the most. But remember those long-term habits that you're creating. How can your partner ever become the expert on y'all's kid if you don't teach them or if you don't give them the opportunity to? So like the other night, we've kind of been teetering with sleep training a little bit, and I really wanted my husband to put the baby down himself because typically it's me because she goes to sleep as soon as she feeds. So it's kind of just like an, again, easier situation of after she eats, we let her sit up for a little bit so her reflux doesn't act up, and then I typically just go and put her in the bassinet. But I wanted him to do it so he knows what to do if she is crying or, you know, how to care for her. So I told him that we were going to put her down together that night, so it's not all on him. We're not letting our partner fail. We're walking them through it, not in a way that's like hypercritical or that we don't trust them. Like, I really want it to come from a place of encouragement and instilling that trust that your partner, who is an adult, hopefully, is capable of caring for your child just as well as you are. And so we went there together. He was holding her, he put her on the swaddle, he sat her down, she started crying, and he was like, what do I do? And I said, you know, if she doesn't kind of settle in the next 30 seconds, pick her up and just, you know, kind of just bounce her, rock her, whatever. He did that. She settled for a second and then she started crying again. And then he's like, okay, what do I do now? And I was like, you know, walk around with her, or like just offering suggestions, but not commands. I think how you approach all of this is very important too, because again, your partner is your equal. You are both wanting to care for this baby, and it shouldn't be a stressor, like it is teamwork. So my next tip for you is to accept help when offered, especially if this is your first kid. I don't know if it's going to be this way with every kid because I only have one, but so many people reach out and are like, is there anything I can do for you? Can I swing by and like give you this or that or whatever? And it's to accept it if it's offered. Like, I don't think anyone is saying those things to like not come through in the end. And the more help, the merrier. Like, this is not a time period to be like Wonder Woman and I'm doing it all by myself, because again, we want people to help care. Like, it takes a village, accept your village if they are there. Moving on to moving your body. So if you really want to get into kind of the science behind it, you can check out this book called Move the Body, Heal the Mind. Really, if you're not into reading or whatever, Cliff Notes is the title, like Move the Body, Heal the Mind. And basically it just talks about how moving your body and the endorphins that are released and everything it does for you has the same effects that prescription antidepressants do as well. And so for me, like I said earlier, what I've really been trying to focus on is moving my body, whether it's going out on walks or going back to the gym. I just got a gym membership this week or two ago. So when I look back at the happiest times I've had in my life, it's always been when I was consistent with working out. And I do think there's a lot of truth to that. I don't think it's a little coinky dink, okay? I think a lot of it has to do with just the way our mind and body work together. And I truly think no matter if you're a little sleepy right now, a little sleep deprived, whatever, if you can find a way to get more movement in, you are going to ultimately feel better. It's only going to help you healing wise postpartum, but it is going to help you so much mentally. And I think that's so important. So I've got about 2 more tips left. The second to last one is letting baby lead. I am a big advocator for this, because as much as we want to like get baby on a schedule and do all the things and whatever, it's like baby's gonna do what baby's gonna do, okay? And I think sometimes if we're forcing things, that is when we're met with just like frustration and this period not being that much like light and happiness and rainbows, you know what I mean? So I really think if you just let your baby lead you in terms of like what it needs, when it needs, achieving the milestones at the rate that the baby wants to, I think it's just overall going to be a happier time for you, because you're just enjoying your little person instead of trying to like mold them into this, you know, routine, strict, whatever it is that you're trying to do. So just like chillax and learning to go with the flow. And this also goes into my last point, which is just knowledge is power. And as much of a researcher that I am, I really tried to be really intentional with only having 1 or 2 people that were trusted, that I really valued their advice and opinions whenever I had a question about something or needed help. And it was my mom, my sister, and also, you know, a friend that I have, but mainly relying on my mom and my sister for the majority of the advice. And then I only read 2 books when I was pregnant, and I will link them below and also do pictures of them here. I read one on feeding, and it goes over both formula, breast, pumping, all the things. And then I read one on sleeping. And to me, that was just a really approachable way to gain that knowledge and not providing me so much information that was going to lead to overwhelm or doubt, because as you may know, for everything you research, there is something on the internet counteracting that. So I think it's really about finding those trusted resources and just trial and error. That's all it is. Letting baby lead, trying, seeing what works for baby, because every baby's different, and then just enjoying this time, whether it's your first, your second, your third, whatever, but just really taking this time to enjoy your little human. That is it for this video. I really hope you hopefully got some encouragement that, again, postpartum doesn't have to be this like hard, awful, scary thing. It can be a really beautiful experience. You can be really happy, you can be thriving, all the things, but also know that if you're currently not, that's okay, but it doesn't mean that just around the corner that life is for you. You know what I mean? Like, you can get there. If you have any postpartum tips, please leave them below, and also I'll link my video about how to survive the first month with the newborn. That has a lot of my advice that I learned during that time in terms of caring for baby. But I will see you in my next one.